The quality of your HR process, your HR policies, and your HR system is very critical to organizational success. And that is one of the critical reasons why organizations from time to time need to conduct an HR audit. Welcome to today's episode of HR Insight, where I simplify human resource concept. Today, I'm going to be looking at how to conduct an HR audit, and we're going to be doing that after taking this video message from our sponsor of today's episode.
Meet Seamless HR, an easy-to-use automated HR management system that brings your fragmented HR data into one secure, centralized database. With your employee information, both old and new, in one place on the cloud, you can access them whenever you want, wherever you are. Find answers when you need them, from 5 minutes ago or 5 years ago. Empower your employees to self-serve and engage HR without fuss. And give them controlled permissions to update their information on the system. Easily generate all the HR reports you need to stay proactive and make data-driven decisions. Record keeping and employee data management shouldn't take up all your time. Focus on the human in human resources. Use Seamless HR.
What is an HR audit? According to AI in HR, Analytics in HR, an HR audit reviews the human resource policies, procedures, and processes with the aim to identify areas that need improvement and what areas are performing well. Organizations can choose an HR audit to ensure compliance and align HR programs with business objectives and organizational performance. Now, why conduct an HR audit? An HR audit is aimed to achieve various reasons within an organization. One of such is the ability to help the organization to be compliant with regulatory bodies and compliant with employment laws and regulations. Another interesting reason why you need to conduct an HR audit is the ability to know the efficiency of the HR processes and practices within an organization. Nobody wants to run an organization that is defective in terms of its HR practice, because the HR policies and procedures and the practices of HR and processes is very synonymous to the success of that organization. So an organization that is running smoothly with its people will definitely lead to successful business performance, meaning the quality of the HR processes and systems that are in place is very critical to organizational success. What are the focus areas for an HR audit? The focus area for the HR audit is more like the purpose of why you are doing the HR audit. And the following critical focus areas are why HR audits are conducted is a compliance audit. Doing a compliance audit means you want to check the compliance of your HR policy or your employee handbook with current state and federal employment laws and regulation. Trying to be sure the organization wants to confirm that they are in compliance with employment laws and regulation. That's your compliance audit. Then we also have your best practice audit. Doing a best practice audit means you want to compare your current HR processes and policies with accepted industry standard. So how do we do certain things within our industry as it relates to HR practices? At the point where you are making that comparison with your current HR process with accepted industry standard, what you're doing is a best practice audit. Then your HR audit can also focus on some specific functional area, which we call function specific audit. Your function specific audit means you choose a particular area of HR that you want to examine. You could pick personnel records. So what are the things we keep within our records, and we want to be able to check it against some certain regulatory compliance or some certain industry standard. We could also look at our payroll practice, or we could also do a skills audit. A skills audit is function specific audit, or also your performance specific audit. All these areas are critical functional areas that your HR audit can focus on. Interestingly, doing an HR audit becomes easier when you have adopted an HR software. Now, reason being that your HR software tends to have an audit trail. So take for example, if you have an HRS that manages your employee records and you want to be able to do an audit, who does what, who changed what within the system. Now, because it's technologically driven, it's easy to have what we call an audit trail within that system, which means when was the last time an employee updated his or her record. It's easy to see within the system. Or is this someone within HR that changed it? There's an audit trail. That's one of the beauty of having an HR software, because there can be a technology audit trail to make the audit process easier for you as an organization. Steps to conduct an HR audit. In trying to conduct an HR audit, the following steps would be useful. Start by determine the focus of the HR audit. What will the HR audit focus on? Is it going to be a compliance audit, a best practice audit, or a function specific audit? You need to determine what that HR audit will focus on. Then you need to get management buy-in. You will not be able to do any audit that the management does not authorize for it to be done. You need to create, or you need to present a business case why the audit must be conducted in the first place. Then you can now go ahead to determine who would conduct the HR audit. Are you going to do that HR audit internally, meaning the internal HR department will do that, or the internal HR team, or you are going to get an external consultant to do the audit for the organization? Most of the time, the external consultant route would increase the objectivity of the process, meaning it's sometimes difficult for the internal HR team to audit themselves. So the external HR or external consultant route may be the best approach. Then you cannot go ahead to gather the data for the audit. If you're doing a personnel records audit, for example, then you need to gather the personnel record form. You need to go through each of them to be sure what's in there. Do we have the necessary things? If you're doing a payroll audit, similar, you would need to gather the information for the particular audit. If you're doing a skills audit, you may need to do a questionnaire to check most of the skills level that each employee is expected to have. Then you'll be able to gather information about it. Then you can go to the next stage, which is the point of reviewing the findings from the HR audit. After determining the focus, then you need to go ahead to review. So what did we get from the data that we gathered? After going through each of the data, are there gaps within our HR policy? Are there compliance gaps in terms of our employee handbook and employment laws? Then this is when you'll be able to review the findings and you'll be able to determine a course of action. The beauty of it is that conducting an effective HR audit is critical to the success of the organization. And in terms of when should an organization perform an HR audit, that is left to the organization. Some organization would do an audit at the beginning of a new financial year, some organization at the point of starting a new project or a new subsidiary, or some organization at the point of mergers and acquisition, there will be a need to perform an audit. So the essence and the purpose and the timing of the audit is specific to different situations that the or different stage or maturity stage that the organization is. So depending on the maturity stage of the organization will determine when they decide to do an audit and the type or the focus area for that particular audit. Thank you very much. I'll see you in the next episode.